is the rise of suicidal death. The better and the more we begin to do something about it, the better for you, for me, for this generation and generation unborn. Welcome to the State of the Nation on Aspect TV. I am Dayo Lujuwon, and our guest for today is Barrister Alexandra Ebele Ufondu, Esquire, and she'll be talking about mental health. This is so exciting. Well, you can interact with us through this number 0099981117 to call in or send SMS for your questions and contributions. Right now, we're going a quick break, and when we come back, we will hopefully have a wonderful time. Ebele Alexandra Ufondu, Esquire, is a legal practitioner who studied law and mental health law in the University of Derby's Law School, United Kingdom. She was called to the Nigerian Bar in 2019. Her journey in raising awareness on mental health started in 2013 when she moved from England to Dubai for a year. During this period, she experienced depression and anxiety, and this purported her to pick up a relentless interest on mental health and understanding the human mind. She became a forced case study, studying and researching the causes of mental illness and triggers that could cause one to manifest through her studies, and she was able to overcome depression and manage anxiety. Over the course of 8 years, she has been privileged to meet with over 30 psychiatrists from different continents that were keen on educating her on mental health, mental disorders, and illnesses. She began raising awareness on a small scale through poetry and writings, but had plans of taking it to a greater level when she eventually moved back to Nigeria. She's currently working on establishing a mental health foundation and a website where she could reach out to more people. Today is a legal practitioner and a mental health expert. Barrister, good to have you with us.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. A bit nervous, but I'm fine.
I was about to say that. Well, according to your profile, well, you were a victim of depression and anxiety.
Yeah.
And this can be so deadly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how were you able to realize that you had depression and anxiety, and how were you able to come out of it?
First, I think my depression and anxiety manifested in 2013 when I moved to Dubai. So I think it was a certain situation that triggered it. Because you know, obviously, mental illness is hereditary. Yeah, so it just takes a trigger to trigger it. So how was I able to overcome? I think for a while I kind of lived online and I was isolated. I didn't want to communicate with people. I didn't want to tell people because I do know the reaction you get when you tell people that you're depressed. They tell you, oh, she's seeking for attention, or she thinks she's the right person. You get that kind of thing. So at the point I was like, I'm doing a disservice to myself if I keep quiet and don't seek help. So I spoke to my parents about it. And I thank God because I'm blessed enough to have parents that are always willing to help. And they sought me help, got me a therapist, also a psychiatrist for a while. And then managing my depression, anxiety, because my depression was very bad. It was the highest. It was chronic. It was a major depressive disorder I was diagnosed with.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it was borderline suicidal. Yeah. And then surrounded myself, obviously taking medication at the time, surrounded myself with my family. And they were very understanding, and these are people that they never suffered depression. They don't, at the time, I don't think my parents knew that depression was really a thing, because they're from the generation that believe that, oh, depression is a white man's disease. Yeah, or you're walking on the streets and you see a mad person naked running around. That's when you have a mental illness. Yeah. And they were so willing to help. If you told my parents, like, if they were to jump to the sky, I'll be fine, they'll jump to the sky. Every possible way they could. I developed a different relationship with them. I spoke to them. They didn't tell me, look around, you're privileged, or you're this, you're that, some people have it worse. I didn't get that from them. They just told me, you're fine. And that encouraged me to always go to them, tell them this is how I was feeling. I think at the point I left school to work on my mental health, and the best place to be was at home. I went back to my roots, back to those things that made me happy. And those things that made me happy was every Christmas running around with my siblings, with my cousins, and then they tell us not to do the come and we find ways to sneak out. So yeah, I went back to the village and spent time with my grandmother. And then my parents left the city, and I obviously fell into the village. And slowly, it's like getting out of it, remembering things that made me happy, expressing myself through writing. Because at the time, my friends and my mates were graduating from uni, and I was out of university, so I was like, I'm a school dropout at this point. So I left social media for my sanity. Yeah, because social media actually adds to your mental breakdown. So if you already have a mental illness you're struggling with, yeah, constantly being on social media, especially Instagram, where we're the era of everyone seeking perfection and portraying perfection, it could somehow deteriorate it somewhat. So I left social media and went back to my roots and surrounded myself with people that encouraged me, that listening to understand, not listening to reply, because there is a difference.
Yes.
And slowly, the faith they had in me that I would overcome made me have that faith in myself. Yeah? And I'm obviously a Christian, a Catholic, and I'm not going to deny God's substantial role in my recovery, because that was very, very substantial. And it was just the encouragement, the understanding that made me get out of it. And then I went back to school, started studying law, and law gave me a little boost of confidence, something to look forward to. And that's zeal to want to become better and pay and reward my parents for being so supportive. And yeah, that's how I got out of it. Obviously it is longer, but this is a summary of it.
Yeah. What triggered it? Is there anything else?
Okay, what triggered it? I think at the time I was in England, yeah, so I was surrounded myself with a certain circle where we were. School, I'll just say school was not our priority, and I'm very young. So you could imagine, I moved to England at the age of 16, actually 15 plus. So just alone, with no parents, and you've been with parents all your life. So you feel this little bit of, not actually little bit, you feel this freedom. You do whatever you want, behave, act however you want, and there's no one checking on you. You can leave, go out whatever time you want to go out, dress however you like. So the circle I surrounded myself with was, I would say school was not very, school wasn't a priority, it was obviously, so I kind of started falling back academically, and then, bad company corrupts with character. Just a little bit of things. And then I had to leave. And my parents were like, fine, they isolate me from these people and this place that kind of made me a toxic person. Perhaps I would, get my priorities right. So they sent me to Dubai. I was schooling in Dubai. But then the trigger was just they knew something was wrong. They just kept holding it in. The trigger was when it was popular amongst the group I was in. Was the constant attacks, constant fake pages, insulting me, calling me out for nothing. And she told me one day I sat there and I was like, wait, I'm not doing great academically. There will be disappointment to my parents, which I wasn't, but these are my twins, yes? And I'm like, everyone's insulting me, and just so many things. Then I started falling into that hole, yeah, because I think at the time I already had anxiety, but it was not diagnosed at the time. I think I had anxiety in 2008. I was very, very young at that time. So obviously anxiety, depression and anxiety come.
Sorry, you have a problem.
That's fine. Hello. Hello. It's okay. I think at the time I already had I already had anxiety disorder. So something anxiety is anxiety and depression, they go hand in hand. It's like King Day and tired. Yeah, they go hand in hand. You can't have depression without anxiety. The latter, yeah. So I think the hole I fell into thinking I was a failure, I was not going to make it in life this year, triggered my anxiety, and then the response triggered my depression, and then the response to that made it deteriorate some more, and I was basically in a kind of catastrophe at the time.
During that period,
Yeah.
Was there any time you felt like going to drugs? You didn't do drugs, you didn't...
Yeah, this is when you're depressed, yes. There's this misconception by society at large, not just the Nigerian society, yes, that marijuana cures depression or anxiety or something. Yeah, because
I think we should...
it's okay, it's fine. Hello.
Good. Can we know your name and where you're calling from, please? Okay. Okay, thank you, sir. Can you go straight to your question or contribution? Your question, please. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Hi.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Should you want to answer or you should you want us to
I will answer.
we have another caller.
I think I should answer this before the next caller. Thank you so much for calling in. Your first question is, why is it that...
I think let's
Okay,
get this
yeah,
first
okay.
so that you answer.
That's fine, that's fine.
Yeah, I think we lost that. Just
So,
we lost that.
what was the first question? The first question was, why do we, why the people suffering from mental illness, why do they isolate them? Yeah. Now, there are two ways we could actually think of isolation, right? People suffering from mental illness on their own isolate themselves because of that fear of misunderstanding and judgment, and obviously the stigma in Nigeria, in the Nigerian society, because if you're mentally ill, you're seen as crazy or a mad person. No, you could be suffering from anxiety. I have an anxiety disorder. I'm here like trying to raise awareness on this. I am not on the streets walking naked. Do you understand? So that's the first part of it in terms of self-isolation, right? The second part of isolation is people isolating the person that's suffering from said mental illness. Now it depends on the type of mental illness they're suffering from, right? Because some could be more dangerous to the society than you are even than you're aware of. Say, for example, you're suffering from depression, right? To my knowledge, people suffering from depression are not violent towards others. They're just violent to themselves. They want to harm themselves. They don't want to harm others. They see people doing good things and then it breaks them down. Why can't I be like this? And it adds to their mental health deteriorating somewhat, right? But then the isolation from people is, I feel like, one, the misconception, right? Because in other countries, for example in the UK, right, if you're suffering from a certain type of mental disorder, you voluntarily go to a psychiatrist or a doctor, and then...
Okay, we have another caller.
That's right.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening. I'm calling for Alex.
Okay, your name please and where you're calling from. Your name.
My name is Alexandra. I'm calling from Anambra, Nigeria.
Okay, can you go straight to your question? Thank you.
So my question is on...
Your question, please.
Your question.
Okay. Keep in mind that I'm just...
I think go on. Because she should definitely.
She probably call back. Maybe she's continuing. Because he asked very important questions. Now, the isolation by other people is one, the misinformation and lack of information, right? And I was talking about this is why. Hello.
Hi, this is calling back. I just like to ask my question.
Okay.
Okay, my question is on triggers and mental health. I know that a lot of people who are not probably aware that I have mental health disorder, but I just want to ask how to manage triggers when people are approaching you and asking for advice back from a better emotion. How to manage triggers, how to manage
Okay. Okay, we got that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
She said, how do you
Manage a trigger. Okay,
how do you
I would...
people manage the autism?
Okay, yeah. I would want to answer this before I go to the first caller's question. How do you manage the triggers? One, you have to know what the triggers are. And then, how I manage the triggers, because I have an anxiety disorder. I'm not depressed anymore. But obviously, like if you have anxiety, there's a little bit of underlying depression. It might not manifest to the level that you need medical help for. But then, how do I manage triggers? Most times, should I just?
I think.
Hello. Hi.
Can we know your name and where you're calling from? Okay, can you go straight to your question?
Thank you so much. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you. Okay, yeah, the trigger. How do I manage the triggers? Obviously, over time I've learned how to deal with it because at first, I did live in England for a very long time. So in England, you understand there's people suffering from mental illness, right, are embraced, they're protected. So it's a different thing than when I moved back to Nigeria. I remember when I was in law school, I tried to speak on it, and the response I got was very terrible. And they made fun of me on the law school group chat. So that made me withdraw, right? So then it was okay, yeah. How they receive or perceive mental illness is different from where I'm coming from. So I said, okay, yeah. So first one is you need to know what could trigger it. Anything could trigger it, but you need to be aware of those triggers and then stay away from them, right? Now those triggers could be anything. And this is what most people don't know, right? Triggers in terms of, yes, you're already suffering from a mental illness and then someone saying something insensitive like, did you not try to commit suicide yesterday? Or, do you understand? Could trigger it, and then you become angry. And then obviously you're suffering from depression and anxiety, and then there's that trigger, right? The anxiety sets in. So this spike goes up. And at that moment, your mental state is diminished. And anything could happen at that point because you're angry, right? So, this happens. I'll give you an example. This happens to me. It used to happen to me, but now I manage it more. I'll give you two examples. When I first started driving, obviously it took me a while because of my anxiety. It's okay.
Hello. Can we know your name and where you're calling from?
My name is I'm calling from Lagos.
Okay, can you go straight to your question, ma'am?
I have a question. I just wanted to encourage the young lady that is amazing. This is amazing. I feel like mental health not talk about now. This is amazing. I feel like you're doing amazing. I just want to encourage that all because in Nigeria mental health is never talked about now. So I just want to encourage you to work back to.
Thank you. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Have a good day. Bye.
That's so nice.
Okay, right now we're going to quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue. She will continue this wonderful thing she has begun.
We're on break.
Alexandra Ufondu Esquire is a legal practitioner who studied law and mental health law in the University of Debbie's Law School, United Kingdom. She was called to the Nigerian Bar in 2019. Her journey in raising awareness on mental health started in 2013 when she moved from England to Dubai for a year. During this period, she experienced depression and anxiety, and this purported her to pick up a relentless interest on mental health and understanding the human mind. She became a forced case study, studying and researching the causes of mental illness and triggers that could cause one to manifest through her studies, and she was able to overcome depression and manage anxiety. Over the course of 8 years, she has been privileged to meet with over 30 psychiatrists from different continents that were keen on educating her on mental health, mental disorders, and illnesses. She began raising awareness on a small scale through poetry and writings, but had plans of taking it to a greater level when she eventually moved back to Nigeria. She's currently working on establishing a mental health foundation and a website where she could reach out to more people.
How do you manage the triggers, and how do you help other people manage the triggers? So, ma'am?
How I manage my triggers is just, obviously I'm not acquainted with mental illness in the society that we live in. That's Nigerian society. And the misconception and ignorance and lack of sensitivity towards those suffering from mental illness. So I just ignore them because they've said so many things to me. You know, I've been called crazy. I've been called so many things that if I was to dwell on them, I wouldn't be here speaking to you. But then, I have a motto, right? And my motto is, you're not crazy, you persevere and overcome, and everyone is suffering from something. So whoever is making that statement to me, I look at them and I'm like, probably have something you're suffering from and you do not know yet. So between the both of us, right, who is more courageous? I'm speaking, I'm doing something about mine, then you choose to tear me down. Do you get? And so that's how I see it. You talk, and I look at you and then I laugh. Most times, I wouldn't say all the time I ignore them. I think what triggers me the most is when I'm trying to educate people on certain things, or make them aware about certain things in relation to mental illness, and they refuse to just maybe see where I'm coming from. If you're going to say, oh, you're not right, dispute what I'm saying with facts. I'm a lawyer, it's facts. Dispute what I'm saying with facts. So you're telling me that mental illness does not exist, right? Show me something, back up your point. And I've not been able to do that. And another trigger is obviously people tend to, you see people going back and forth, and then you see friends or maybe people insulting each other, and then you start using words like you're bipolar or you're depressed or something. The person might not be, but then you're using these mental illnesses as an insult towards someone else. How do you then think that people suffering from it feel. Do you understand? It's like calling someone retarded. How do you think a retarded person feels? Calling someone barren. How do you think a barren woman feels? Do you get my point? And so those are things that trigger me. I always try and get back to it. But then I've learned to control and manage my anxiety. So how I manage mine is I look at them and I ignore. Because what matters the most is where I was, where I am now, and where I'm going. So there is a focus for me. Do you get? And think of when you were a child. Think of when you started crawling or walking. There were obstacles. There were obviously maybe you had the development in terms of speaking, yes. And then many people told you and told your mom, oh, this child might not speak good. This your child is not talking or something, yeah. Or when you were in primary school and you came 39th out of 40 people, and then people always told you, oh, you were bullied in school, and they always told you, oh, you're daft, you're dumb, you're not intelligent, your brain is slow or something, yeah? And then look where you are now. You're either an MD of a company or something. You're not where you used to be. You're not those things people insulted you with, right? So that's how I see it. If you're trying to trigger me to react, I'm not perfect. Most times I have reacted, but then I ignore you because how I see you is you don't know better. If you knew better, you will do better. Yeah. So I take that chance.
You know better, you will do better.
Yeah, you will do better. So I take that opportunity to educate them on it. And in the midst of insults, I'm able to like hold myself back and start educating you. Be like, okay, what's going on here? Yeah, and I tell you these things, and it's for free. And regardless of whether you want to admit or change your approach to me at the time, when you go back home, you sit down, and then you will actually be like, wait, I know someone that did this. This one, that person that's committed suicide. What if it was this? Or what if it was that? You get? Now, in terms of people controlling their triggers, I've said this, you have to know what triggers you. And if you've not been able to isolate those triggers, right? Or be able to persevere regardless of those triggers, at that moment, I feel like for a while, just isolate yourself from those triggers, right? Because how you get better if you're dealing with any form of mental illness is by support, by encouragement, by people showing you love, and these are from friends and family.
What if you don't get such?
If you don't get such, right, I promise you, because this I know for certain, that when you're suffering from depression, or anxiety, or maybe you tried to commit suicide or something, yeah? Many people, even your family members, could betray you, I would say.
Yes.
Or just leave you out there and you struggle alone. So where is your encouragement? Where is the love? Guess what? Blood doesn't make you family.
Yeah.
Did you get? Reverend fathers could encourage. They encourage and give love for free. It is their duty to love for free. Did you get? Reverend fathers could. A stranger could. Did you get where I'm coming from? Someone suffering as well could be your source of love and encouragement. And then you do that in turn. You know, therapists are not just when you go and then you sit down with someone and pay them by the hour or by the minute. You tell them your problems and this, that. No, you could be my therapist. A friend could be your therapist. Your boss could be your therapist. You have that type of relationship. The person that serves you, your gate man. Anybody could be your therapist, so far as they're willing to listen and encourage you. That's it. We need encouragement. We need love. You need that love, that encouragement, that understanding. If someone is telling you this is how they feel, you have no right to tell them this, that you're lying. You have no right to tell them what you're feeling is not valid. It is how I feel. And I'm not asking for much. Encouragement, love is not much to ask for. it's not.
I think you
So,
should.
yeah, it's okay, that's fine.
Hello. Can we know your name and where you're calling from? Your question or contribution, please.
Hi, Juju.
My question to Barr is, how do one find out your triggers? She talked about triggers, knowing your trigger, and then looking at yourself and how do you know your triggers? How do you find out your triggers? You personal experience, how do you know what your trigger was? And because most people, I mean, I'm one, I know someone will go through it, and he can really think what triggers him, and it's been a problem for him. So how do one find out what triggers are? How do I, if I was able to have it, that's a challenge in its own. So how do you find out what triggers? Like your personal experience, you talk about how you find out how triggers work.
Okay. Sorry. To clarify, do you want me to tell you what my triggers are, or how you find out?
How do you find out what triggers are?
Okay.
I feel like that's a challenge as well.
That's
So
very
your
important.
personal experience, how do you find out what triggers work?
Okay, thank you for that question. I would like to answer this question. Very important. All right. How you find out what your triggers are, right? When you're alone, if you're suffering from any type of mental illness, right? When you're alone, it's thoughts and thoughts and thoughts. So I think you have that burden to really. It is your responsibility to be better, make yourself better. Although when you're depressed, you're the lowest of the low, right?
Yes.
The only thing in your head is, God, please take me out of this wicked world with no empathy and compassion. But then, again, if you're trying to persevere, you have to do that. It is up to you, it's your responsibility to know what those triggers are. Right, now how I found out what my triggers were is I found out that the constant desensitization to people suffering from it triggers me. Found out that I'm a bit emotional, so I'm just trying to hold it back. I found out that gossip, people just don't know what I've went through, and even if I tell you what I've gone through, it's not gossip. Someone suffering from a major depressive disorder, yeah, it's not gossip. It's a cry for help. How then are you calling your friend? Oh, did you know what Alex is going through? Apparently she's depressed too. This one. No. It's not gossip. Trigger. But then I found out that triggers it as well. And then social media. I go to, I have this habit of before I sleep, I go on Instagram and I check like some things. I watch, I go on the YouTube page and then watch live interviews and all those things. And I think, watching those interviews really is the good part of it. But the bad side of it is every night before I sleep and once when I wake up in the morning, I check social media. Instagram, straight up. And obviously you follow all these media outlets like, I think there's a very famous one, Insta blog manager. So they figured out that one of those triggers is, the increase in suicidal deaths, is ridiculously high. It's as a result of the lack of awareness. I figured out that when I see that someone committed suicide, I'm always, I don't know, I just always this little push. It breaks me down. There's also this little push to see what people are saying, how they're responding to it. And then you see comments like, wahala, no day, something like bicycle. Someone just killed themselves and you're saying, wahala, something, no day, like bicycle. It's ridiculous, yeah? You see comments like, suicide is never an excuse. Or you see comments like, even the rich has problems. Or how would this fine girl go and kill herself when she's rich, this, that. Never believe what you see on social media. Those things are insensitive and it triggers me. And I promise you, I always want to reply them and just go over there and like, nah, calm down. You don't know better. If they knew better, they will do better. they'll do better, right? So that's one of the triggers as well. So I've learned not to be very, actually to lower my expectations of people. Because when you expect too high, then you get disappointed. So how I see it, I see everyone as you do not know very much as mental, so much as you should of mental illness, right? That's how I see it. So whatever I say to you, and the response is not what I was expecting, yeah, it's not going to be a blow to me. Do you understand? Now, those things and the sensitivity and someone saying, I heard you were depressed too, or maybe something in relation to self-harm, or that you were doing this to yourself, or something like that, or try to commit suicide, and then your response is very, very insensitive. I ignore. Now, I cannot compare myself to someone that's currently going through it because it's very hard. So, answering that question about the lady's friend that can't figure out his triggers, and it's very hard for him to cope. It is tough, I tell you, because my anxiety disorder, I can't pinpoint what triggers my anxiety. In terms of, I think that's a bit ambiguous. I explain it. Anxiety, so many things, because you could have anxiety for the future. Anxiety is fear, right? So it could be fear of the future, fear of failing, fear of abandonment, fear of something, yeah? Mine, I can't pinpoint what fear I have. So it is harder to treat and manage my type of anxiety. But thank God, I'm managing it as well as I can. I can't really tell this person how they could, what their triggers are, because everyone's pain is different. But I feel like, not to be, very religious, but then you hear God in quietness and trust, right? Pray. Although when you're depressed, it happened to me, if you feel like God has failed you, if you feel like, I've been praying to God since, and this happened to me. So, if you're so real, why is it happening? If you're so real, why would you answer my prayer, right? But if, say I was owing you, like, 50,000 naira, and you have nothing in your account, and you come to my house, and you know I'm in that house, right? And you knock a few times and I don't answer, you keep knocking. You would almost break down that door till I come out and give you your money. That's how it works with God. You don't knock once, and if he doesn't answer, you're like, nah, you keep knocking, because you know he's there, and he has to answer, right? For this person, I would say, take a bit, just take a little time, and isolation could be dangerous, because then suicidal thoughts start creeping, evil thoughts start creeping, yeah? Then it is never a negative thing to surround yourself with people. So sit down, think of situations whereby you've overreacted, yeah? Think of things that make your heart beat fast, because that's anxiety, yeah? It makes your heart beat fast, and it makes you get into a fight or fight someone. Just think of these things. You get where I'm coming from. And perhaps you could just pick out a few things you feel like, okay, yeah, these are your triggers. And on your road, on your journey to recovery, because see, to recover, one, you have to first admit to yourself that there's a problem, that you're sick. First step to healing is admission. To tell yourself the truth. You're not well, you need help. Things are not as you used to. Mentally, you need help. Yeah? Once you've done that, the other steps you have to take towards recovery are actually easier than that first step of acceptance. It's very hard to accept it. It's very, very hard because there is fear of rejection. There is fear of don't want to be called crazy, don't want to be this, don't want to be that. There's a fear of abandonment. And then the stigma. Yeah? And the lack of awareness. So, first step, accept it. That you have a problem. Then sit back and think of those things that trigger you. And then if you know, obviously we all know those friends that come around us, but yeah, we know that they're not our right or theirs, yeah? Keep them far away. Bad energy, stay far away. Keep it far, far away, yeah? And focus on those ones you know that mean good, that mean well. It might not be easy. I mean, chilling with people all the time because, to my knowledge, self-isolation is the best. You're not hearing noises because sometimes many people talking at the same time could be irritating and could be a trigger. And for example, say you're playing Mortal Kombat, yeah, playing video games with a person, and then the other person is cheating and is using one move, and you're like, yo, you're not even playing it well, and then they start arguing. Once you get into the argument, you flare up, and it becomes something so big, and they're like, you have anger issues, you're always overreacting. No, I don't have anger issues. I'm not overreacting. I have an anxiety disorder that's just been triggered. Knowing that I have anxiety, why would you get me into an argument where I will be triggered? Do you see where I'm coming from? So you isolate those people that don't understand you.
What if they keep coming and coming?
They keep coming. Okay. You are the boss of yourself. You're not your maker, but you're the boss of you. You say who comes around and who doesn't come around you. Fine, let it be that you're rude. For your mental health, let it be you're rude. Be rude. She's like bigger than everybody. Now let them think what they want to think. Isolate those people from your life because guess what? If they're in your life, you can never get well. You can't. Then something else that's very important I want to mention, yeah? You know, there is this misconception that, and I'm going to bring drugs into it, because you did ask me a question before we went into it. Yeah, so I'll bring drugs into it. There's this misconception that certain drugs cure or heal mental illness. For example, marijuana. And I see people championing for it to be legalized. Obviously, like, the good side of it, the pros, obviously, is for people with cancer patients and people with HIV. It does help them in terms of feeding and all those things. But if you're suffering from a mental disorder, or you're susceptible to getting one, that's fine. Hello. Hello.
Okay, we lost that.
That's okay. Or you're susceptible to getting one, yeah? Let me just make it come full circle. There's a study that says that every human being on earth has a mental disorder, some form of mental illness. Now you could live your life until you're 90 years old and it would never manifest, yeah? So it manifests in them. There's also a study that says that that's not true. Not everyone born on earth is suffering from a mental illness, yeah? But then it takes triggers or something to make it manifest. Right. Now, people that are susceptible to their mental illness developing, right? I could call that. I'm trying to elaborate here. I keep going back to points I know I might not finish, but it's just fine. So now, this is just what I'm going to say. To me, this is how I classify it, yeah? As to the causes of mental health, there are the internal triggers and the external triggers. Internal triggers are genetics. Internal triggers are things that trigger a mental illness manifesting. Right. So these are, one, genetics. Mental illness is hereditary. It is hereditary. That's number one. Okay. Hello.
Can we know your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Valerie. I'm calling from Lagos.
Okay, your question or contribution.
So I was thinking how do I don't know, I don't understand and how do you handle self-harm? Like you go to the level where you start to realize that you're harming yourself. How do you handle it?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. That's a very
Yes, very important one to be answered.
Self-harm, obviously, is a part of the challenge if you're suffering from a mental illness. So it's the emotion of trying to control myself. It is part of it. Why do people self-harm? Because you feel something is up here, you're not feeling well, and the emotional burden, the mental burden is way too much. So in your head, you're thinking, yeah, maybe if I cut myself, I can focus on the physical pain, and that will take away the emotional one. Yeah? Or maybe if I cut myself, then it is a physical manifestation of what I'm suffering inside. So someone could see it and then they could actually believe you that you're not okay. I mean, if you were fine, you would not be cutting yourself. I've gone through my, issues with self-harm. And self-harm is just, it's a part of it. I've already started self-harming. It's a bit harder than if you haven't already. So I advise to people that haven't, I'll answer our question in a bit. I advise to people that haven't, don't start, because it's hard to stop. Because once you start, your brain would just, it will reconfigure into this thinking and belief that if you feel some sort of emotional burden that you cannot handle, the first reaction is cutting yourself. Do you understand? So once you haven't, don't. If you feel like you need to feel physical pain to get off the emotional burden, do sit-ups, box, run, do things that are strenuous, and then you could, I will not say, I will say sex, but get into, do something you could feel physical pain from, aside from cutting yourself. But physical pain that's not dangerous to your health or to others. Do you understand? Now, for people already self-harming, it is hard to stop. I'm going to lie to you. Once you start, it's hard to stop. Yeah? And that's a very tough question to answer. But self-harm is not the best answer. It's not the best reaction. It is not. So if you already started self-harming, go see a therapist is very important. Also, surround yourself with people that will make sure that when that emotional burden comes, can get you out of it. Because what happens is, when it comes, you isolate yourself. Because the thing is, like, how do I start explaining how I feel inside, knowing that you might not understand because you've never been depressed? Did you get? So you seclude yourself. And when you seclude yourself, that's when those thoughts come. If you cut yourself, you might, the devil will start whispering. If you cut yourself, you stop feeling this pain. And I will not say it is true or a lie, but as you're cutting yourself, you're thinking, okay, this is helping me.
Because you've been configured.
Thank you. And then you're focused on the physical pain you're feeling, not the emotional one. Once you're done cutting yourself, I promise you, give it 5 minutes. You look at those cuts and you're like, God, what have I done? Do you understand? What have I done to myself? And those scars will be there. And those scars, keep reminding you even when you've overcome, to keep reminding you that self-harm is an option. You get where I'm coming from? Surround yourself. When that emotional burden comes, and the devil starts telling you cut yourself. Because see, the mind is very powerful. I don't think people understand how powerful the mind is. Go to someone, call someone.
So the devil also is involved in this.
See, let's just not be saying the devil, because the thing is, the mind is very powerful.
Yes.
The mind is extremely powerful.
Battlefield.
It is. See, people with multiple personality disorders, how do they develop that? Trauma as a child. So your mind splits into different people that some. And this is children, but you have 6 people living inside of you. This is how powerful the mind is. So my advice to her is, once you start feeling that emotional and mental burden, run to the person you know you need. We all have our go-to people. Run to them. Run to them. And if someone is constantly telling you how they feel, a depressed person, anyone going through any form of mental illness, right? I know as a friend it could be tiring to constantly keep hearing about it. As a friend, it could be, you might get this little fear of, if I keep surrounding myself, if I keep coming near this person, am I going to start developing? Yeah, do you understand? Because there's a lack of awareness. We cannot ignore that. And that lack of awareness, right? Now, it shifts people's minds into thinking that mental illness is a possession. Is an evil spirit possession. So your friend, you're coming to your friend, you're crying, you're doing all this, and then they're thinking, they're like, he's your God. You see your God, and like, she has come again, my God. Do you understand? Please, I beg you. If someone is running to you for help, as a friend, that means they trust you. That means they want to be better. That means they need help. No matter how frustrating it is, see, just a little sentence like, it will be fine. Don't worry. It will be fine. I'm here for you. It will be fine. Nothing will happen to you. Yeah? You could save a life, I'm telling you.
There's something that I would want to ask. The question is it related to you not believing in yourself, believing in yourself, you being ungrateful? Because there's a school of thought that say that you're depressed because you do not believe in yourself. You're depressed because you are not grateful. You're ungrateful. You don't believe that God has been so faithful to you. So I want you to expatiate on this. Yes.
Okay. So what you're saying is normally the response parents give to their kids that come to tell them that they're depressed. Because that generation, they're not aware of mental illness. But then some of us, we are, because we've been opportune to school outside Nigeria, or communicate with people outside Nigeria, or maybe read up on our own, and then are part of the awareness. So you have that knowledge, yeah? And then you go to your parents, and then they tell you, what is depression? You have a car. Do you know how many people that are walking from Elegushi to Oshobo? I don't know how far that is. I'm just thinking it's very far, yeah? From this to this place. Do you know how many dropouts there are? And you have a master's degree. You went to the best school. You know, and I don't know, I'm just trying to say some parents, yeah? You went to the best school. So do you know how many people that are suffering? Do you get all those type of things? You eat 3 square meals a day. I send you pocket money, 200,000 naira every month, you know? And people don't have 5 naira. How can you tell me you're depressed? You want to kill yourself? Eh? So if you're that person on the road suffering, how will you want to kill yourself? All those things, you get, are very ungrateful. And just so much insensitivity coming from your parents. I need parents to understand that, see, mental illness is not lack of understanding. It's not you being ungrateful or not appreciating what God has, where God has put you. Yeah? See, it is as simple as this. If your body,
or you're not loving yourself,
or you're not loving yourself, no, it's not. No, it's not. It's not you not loving yourself, and that comes with self-harm too. Yeah? Self-harm is not you not loving yourself. If you're depressed, how can you love yourself? Do you get? You can't. Because I don't know how to explain it. Like you can't, because you can't even, you can't be happy. And then this is something I really want to touch on. Depressed people. See, most times you feel fatigue, you get a migraine, yeah? You feel really, they're just signs that your body's telling you, yo, you're about to get sick, you're shutting down. Like fall back, malaria signs, malaria, you start, that bad taste in your mouth and all those things, yeah? Your body's, these are symptoms that your body, like, is about to shut down. Do you get me? Obviously, you can't compare malaria and cancer. But then, cancer, what are like cells, malignant cells in the body or something like that, yeah? It's the same way with the brain. If our I don't see, the brain is the most important organ in the human body. The person could, have their kidneys failed, have kidney failure, have problems with their liver, and then they cut it up, and the liver is able to regenerate, yes? Could have heart failure or something, and they're able to survive. But once your brain dead, that's it. This tells you that your brain is responsible for the blinking. It is responsible for you opening your mouth to eat. It is responsible for you walking from here to here. The brain is that powerful. Your brain is responsible for every single thing. Do you get my point? So, if, for example, I'll pick up an alcoholic. So if you're an alcoholic and you're drinking and then your liver shrinks as a result of the alcoholism, do you think that the human body can get sick, but the brain, the most important, the most powerful organ in your body, cannot get sick? That's it. That's it. Mental illness is just a disease of the mind. That's it.
Disease of the mind.
It's a disease of the mind. That's it. Do you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah, you said something about why you're talking about how you were able to come out of depression. You said you had to go back to
my roots,
to your roots.
Yeah.
Now you had to find happiness somewhere else.
Yes.
You couldn't find happiness around. You had to.
Like I was saying to you.
Yeah.
And I was depressed. Obviously, I tried so many things to get myself out of depression. I seen a psychiatrist, I was on medication and all those things, right?
The medication couldn't help.
No, okay, let me explain something to you. I don't want, and this should not discourage anyone suffering from depression. The thing about medications are, they're not cures, they help you manage them. So, if you're on antidepressants, right, you're not automatically your former self. You get? You're able to cope and do activities. Just want to finish this very quickly. Yeah? But then, you're able to cope and do some things, interact with people and everything. But then, what the drug does is you're better than where you know you could be without the drugs. Yeah, I was on medication. But then I knew that being in Dubai, UK, wherever, even in Abuja, like, I'm like, these things don't make me happy. I sat down and I'm like, as a child, what made you happy? Writing poetry made me happy. Yeah? Chilling, like, always with my, spending time with my grandma made me happy. Spending time with my dad, my mom made me happy. And my happiest times are always December. As an Igbo girl, you have to go back to the village for Christmas. Came back to Nigeria. My parents, because of me, they went to the village. All went to the village. We were in that village, in that environment. And then the child in me kind of came back out. Started living like a child, thinking like a child. Now I had to run around. I will. I want to go to my grandma's bed and they're still on them, still Fanta. I will. Those things that used to make me happy, because you forget your things that make you happy when you become depressed. You do. Nothing can make you happy. Things don't make you happy. But then, think of your happiest time in life. That's when you were a kid. Go back to those things.
I want to check this. What of some children who never really had
It
At
could.
times, yes, because there are some children, they give birth to them, and their parents, no parents, they had to grow up by themselves. You know, they had to fend for themselves and all. No happy moment. How? Yes.
If they develop a mental illness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because probably they when they were little, they passed through so many disappointments, and maybe the girl was raped when she was little, and she grew up with that depression.
Yeah. How then does she get over it?
You know, you said your parents had to, rally around you.
Yes.
They took you to the village, and it's not
Yes.
everyone that can be like that.
Yes. Yes. I no. I always say this. I am blessed.
Yeah.
With the parents I have. God bless them. God keep them alive. The reason I'm doing this is, more of to tell people that are suffering from mental illness that I persevered. At the time in my life, 2014, I was a school dropout. Yeah. My mom came and took me out of Dubai. And it's like, I left Dubai, I moved to England. So when my depression got way worse, my mom came, and then she didn't tell me she was coming. Or my sister Ujuda told me, Mom is coming. Better arrange yourself. So I came, and I pretended that everything was fine, but everything wasn't fine. And she found out that I was getting worse. So she tricked me, actually. She told me, see, I'm always on your side. When we go back to Nigeria, you see, Daddy just wants to see how you're okay. Then you spend 2 weeks, make sure you pretend that you're fine. Then you spend 2 weeks, and then after 2 weeks, you go to England, and then you stay with your sisters, find the school, and all those things. So I believe that she even upgraded my ticket from a business class ticket to first class ticket, took back my school, like the school fees, remaining house rent, and all those things. She gave it to me, so I really believe she was on my side. And I getting back to Nigeria, I'm like, so things changed. I'm like, so this lady really tricked me. Yeah. I was just like, God damn it. But the other thing here, I'm very grateful for them. Because had she not done that, I will not be here, I promise you. I would have been dead. I would have been dead. Now, answering your question in relation to the girl that didn't have a good upbringing, that's been sad most of her life, I can't say I relate because that wasn't, like, I didn't grow up that way, But sometime in their life, they were happy, Sometime in their life, they were happy. This is something I say to everybody. God doesn't give you challenges to mess with you. God gives you challenges to build you, to be better. Had I not been depressed, I wouldn't be here. Had I not been depressed, I wouldn't be a barrister. Do you get where I'm coming from? Had I not been depressed, I would not have the empathy and compassion and understanding I have now as a human being. Do you get? Many things happen I can't get into. But that has shaped and molded me into the person I am today. Yeah? And I can't say I'm better. I still have my struggles. But it's still that motto. You're not crazy. You will persevere. You will overcome. Everyone is going through it. So to that girl, have hope. God, see.
It all boils down to God.
See, it does. It does. I'm telling you this because I see it work. Growing up, how do you believe in God? Science says you believe in something. How do you prove that something is real? You either smell it. Actually, use your senses. You either see it, smell it, taste it, hear it, or hear it. Yeah, sorry, or see it or something. You use your senses. Well, you've never seen God. You have never smelled God. You've never tasted God. I'm not trying to be. You've never heard God. You've never felt God. So how do you know He's real? So your belief in knowing that God is real, thinking that God is real, is because you grew up with parents telling you, parents, the highest authority on earth, telling you that God is real. Then they take you to church and your pastor is telling you God is real. So you believe God is real. But you've never told God, oh yeah, turn this water into wine and show me you're real. But then, I knew God was real because He showed me Himself. Without God, I wouldn't be here today. So it is very important. I know most people are atheists. They don't believe in God. You're a fool. You're a fool. Do you get? God doesn't let his children suffer. He's like a shepherd, right, with sheep. And you have like 1,000 sheep, and one sheep is sick, and one sheep runs away. That shepherd will leave other sheep and find the one that ran away, or focus on or treat that one that's sick. Yeah, he's not like I have 99 other sheep. I'm going to ignore this one sheep. No, and this is God. You keep suffering. There is always an end to your suffering, and it has nothing to do with background. Rich people go through depression, man. It's not just depression. There are nearly 300 types of mental illnesses.
Wow.
Yes, it is that vast.
Wow.
It is that vast. There are a plethora of them.
Should we say we're in trouble?
We are in trouble because of the lack of awareness in the Nigerian society. Do you get where I'm coming from? So, to that girl, it's a hard question to answer, but pray. Believe that you will do well.
And I think that's why God has placed people like you to be able to encourage people like them.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we need more people to talk. So what are your plans? What are your plans?
First, obviously, I've been writing. I started off on a very small scale of writing poetry. So I write poetry, talking about mental illness. And obviously, I've graduated to writing articles, informing people, making videos. Yeah. So then we hold small conferences. We ask people to come.
Okay.
And hear us speak. I invite a psychiatrist to speak and all those things. Yeah. And then there was a time when these people showed up, but over time they've been coming, they've been showing up some more. My plans, we're working on opening a mental health foundation.
Wow.
Yeah. And in that foundation, there'll be psychiatrists, therapists, It's somewhere you would walk in and be like, I am at peace. Leave knowing that you're going to be fine. Yeah, this is one of it. Second one, I'm going to keep talking. I'm going to keep raising awareness. No matter how many times I hear you're crazy or shut up, I will keep talking. No one can shut me up anymore. Do you get? Because we've suffered enough in silence. Why be silent and die in silence because of someone else's ignorance? Why? No. Speak up. We need to speak up, because another thing you have to actually look into is mental health is ignored in Nigeria, and I believe it's detrimental to us, not just the suicide rates, but our children. Right now, in the educational sector, I did write about this in my article. In the educational sector, we have guidance and counselors. We have like PE teachers for like physical activity. Yes. But then the guidance and counselors, they're not psychiatrists, they're not psychologists. They're a teacher that they brought there and they put there. Do you know where I'm coming from? So, where you get them is when you get people at their teenage years, when they start going through puberty. Because puberty is the turning point where the mind, where a person, that defines a person's life. Do you get where I'm coming from?
Next level.
Yeah, how they live in life. So if you're able to make people aware, see, a child might be suffering. The society places more importance in a child's physical performance or academic performance rather than their mental performance.
Okay.
You get where I'm coming from? I know someone that suffered from that had dyslexia, and she couldn't read. Like you tell her, okay, yeah, read this premium table water. She can't read it, but then you read a whole page to her and tell her, what did I say? She will say every single thing you said back to you. Then you tell her, okay, read it. She can't, right? And then her parents, just saw it as your doll. You're playing in class. You're not trying to understand. No, she has a disability. There is a disorder that is stopping her from learning. Do you get my point? Now, over time, thank God for her, because hers is like 1 in a million cases. She was able to persevere and then use those insults. And then, pushed and pushed and pushed and overcame, and then she could read now. But the problem is caused as an adult for her is that if she can't, talk in conferences because she feels like, what if she's not reading the right thing? Do you know where I'm coming from? So my plans, back to my plans, my foundation is going to push as far as changing legislation. Because this is something I really wanted to talk about here, right? People suffering from mental illness are not protected in Nigerian society. Now, criminal offences, their defenses under the defenses like provocation. Wait, provocation. So you're angry. Obviously, it's not a defense that exonerates you from the offense you committed. Well, I'm angry. But anger can be a defense, and the only mental illness that's recognized in Nigeria under the law is insanity. Now,
went out on the street naked.
Insanity. So you know what? Insanity is not a term for all mental illnesses. No, insanity is a mental illness on its own. Do you understand my point? So depression is different, anxiety is different, insanity is different. So let's say, for example, now, but God forbid, I am a depressed person and I have anxiety, and an ex-boyfriend has been trying to kill me or threaten me or do these things, show up. And at that moment, because of my disability, I couldn't make a rational judgment. My depression and anxiety overtook me, and my mental capacity at that point was diminished, and then I kill this person, right? Okay. I am going to be sentenced to death. Same as a person that sat down, planned it, went to the person's house, shot them, even stole their things and left. Right? Because I can't use the defense of insanity because I'm not insane. Do you get where I'm coming from? I can't use that defense. I am not insane. But then my mental capacity at that point was diminished because I have a mental illness. Under English law, there's something called diminished responsibilities, where they recognize down to menstrual pain. Do you get? And what this does is, obviously, it doesn't absolve the offender of his offense. Sorry, but what it does is, it plays a part on. Say, for example, the offense is murder. Because of that, it will be reduced to manslaughter. Now, murder has a prescribed punishment. In Nigeria, it is death or life imprisonment. Yeah.
Yes.
But if it's down to manslaughter, it is at the judge's discretion to prescribe how many years you serve in a mental institution or jail. Do you get my point? It's up to the judge to decide that, and the amount of years you serve. Right. We're going to push as far as that, making them recognize that. You see, you have to protect us. Protect us. What is it? It's just insanity. It's ridiculous when there are 300 types of different mental disorders out there. It's ridiculous. So yeah, that's the main point of it I want to touch on. And something I want to mention here. In Nigeria, under the law, suicide is attempted suicide is a crime.
Okay.
Yeah, under the penal code and the criminal code. Now, if you're going through now, a person could, try to commit suicide based on an existing mental illness, right? Or maybe a situation that happened at that moment they were not able to get over. Say, for example, someone just got off the plane, they get a call, their whole family died in a plane crash. My God, they're going home, your house are burnt down, scammers stole all your money, your account, everything is just right. It's just done. At that moment, where you're like, what is there to look forward to? There's nothing, I might as well die. So you get a rope, tie around your neck, and you're about to jump, and then someone stops you. Be grateful if the person that stops you is a friend, because if it's a policeman or something, guess where you're going to? Straight to the police station. And you'll be charged with an offense. Under the Nigerian law, 1 year imprisonment. So a year imprisonment. So imagine someone that's already attempting to commit, that their mental state has been so deteriorated that they want to commit suicide, and your response is taking them to prison. But what happens is, although I can say that the enactment of this law, obviously, like they were thinking of the positivity that might come from it to deter people from committing suicide, yeah. But what then happens is, with this in mind, and you're about to commit suicide, you make sure that you're successful.
Yes.
So you don't face the law.
Yes.
Do you get my point?
Yes.
You make sure that you get it right, that you're done and you're done. Because if you're not successful, guess what? You're going to face the law. And I understand that there is a right, the right to life does apply to you trying to take your own life. But there should be a different approach to it than taking the person to police station, charging them with an offense, and then them going through the throes of the law, and then they get imprisoned. So as you imprison them, what do you think will happen? They'll commit suicide in jail. So you're not trying to help a person, you're punishing an already sick person. So what we could do, instead of prison, a psychiatric hospital, help them. They speak to a therapist, and then you watch them, yeah? And based on how they're responding to treatments, then, yeah, person can go back into the society. See, the onus is on us and also the government to help. To help. Nigerians need help, especially with the socioeconomic factors. And, 1 in 4 people are suffering from a type of mental illness.
But do you think in Nigeria we have a reliable mental health care?
If the laws don't even recognize it, how do we then have a reliable mental health care? We don't.
So your foundation, is it going to...
It's your own. I pray that my dreams of, providing help and changing the thinking, helping people, saving lives, God gives me that courage and the strength to pull through it, because this is very serious for me.
I believe you will. Thank you so much for this wonderful time.
Thank you.
And I believe so many people out there have been blessed, same as me.
Thank you.
Thank you, viewers, for staying with us. Thank you for your calls. Thank you for the SMSs. Thank you. I remain Dayo Lujomo, and we just finished with the barrister, the mental health expert, barrister Alexandra Ebele Ufondu. Thank you once again. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on all our social media handles. Thank you.
Thank you.
Montage.
Ebele Alexandra Ufondu Esquire is a legal practitioner who studied law and mental health law in the University of Debbie's Law School, United Kingdom. She was called to the Nigerian Bar in 2019. Her journey in raising awareness on mental health started in 2013 when she moved from England to Dubai for a year. During this period, she experienced depression and anxiety, and this purported her to pick up a relentless interest on mental health and understanding the human mind. She became a forced case study, studying and researching the causes of mental illness and triggers that could cause one to manifest through her studies, and she was able to overcome depression and manage anxiety. Over the course of 8 years, she has been privileged to meet with over 30 psychiatrists from different continents that were keen on educating her on mental health, mental disorders, and illnesses. She began raising awareness on a small scale through poetry and writings, but had plans of taking it to a greater level when she eventually moved back to Nigeria. She's currently working on establishing a mental health foundation and a website where she could reach out to more people.